welcome to Hunters and Unicorns. Today we're joined by Laurent Gil. Laurent is the co-founder and CPO of an exciting startup called cast.ai. Laurent is part of a stellar leadership team that have had multiple exits between them. In this episode, we explore the power and the process of finding product market fit, the impact that finding product market fit has on an organization, and how blending elite sales with product market fit creates an organization that has the potential to go to the highest level. This is his playbook. Welcome to Hunters and Unicorns. I'm Simon Koutis and I'm joined by my co-host, Ollie Kune.
Welcome back to the show, everyone.
And it's an absolute pleasure to be joined by Laurent Gil. Laurent, welcome to the show.
I'm so excited to be here.
It's an absolute pleasure to have you here on the show today. And Simon, your French was very, very good there. Well done, buddy.
I've been working on that. I've been practicing that all day. Laurent, it is an absolute pleasure to have you on the show. And you are currently co-founder. So there's 3 co-founders together at an amazing, very, very fast growing, that's an understatement, a very fast growing disruptive technology, cast.ai. You've had multiple exits between you. How many exits have you and the co-founders had?
Yeah, I had 2 exits myself, and one of my other co-founder had 2 more.
2 more.
Yep.
So that's 4. So the co-founder, CEO, Uri, had 4 and You've had 2.
Yeah.
But you're quite excited about this one, right?
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about some of those previous experiences and how that's really helped you get to where you are today.
That's a super cool question. In fact, I've been an entrepreneur for a long time. And my first startup was in 2005. It was in the Ukraine,
Okay.
in East Europe. The idea there was a crazy group of people, scientists, really scientists, like PhD scientists. Had this idea that you can recognize people in a video by tracking who they are, by tracking their face, the movement of their face, what they say, the emotions that they have. And that was the first startup we did. I met Yuri in Paris. We were having a coffee, and Yuri was telling me, hey, I'm on my way to Kiev in Ukraine to meet these guys. Why don't you come with me? And then the next day I was in Kiev, and we did this for 6 years. The company was called Viability, and then it became part of Google at some point.
I mean, it's a great story because that was obviously you were trailblazing facial recognition, which is now kind of a staple part of the foundations in everyday life. I mean, it's such a core technology. But what was interesting is the technology you were using. It was such a unique approach to how you got to that point, right?
Oh yeah, everybody thought we were crazy, and we were telling them, look, if I can recognize you on a video on my phone, then I can share that video with you because the device knows it's you on the video, or my friends if I take a picture. And so we were trying to convince these companies saying, look, if you are a mobile company, you take a picture of someone, first it would be great to show the face, a rectangle around the face, so you can focus on that person. You can look at the skin tone. You can do a lot of good things, computational photography, because there is a person on the picture or on the video. But then if you know that the person is spatial, it's your friend because the phone knows that, then there is a lot more things you can do in terms of sharing that image. So that was the very beginning of this. And people thought we were crazy. They were telling us, oh, we'll never share pictures. Why would you share pictures with someone? Or why would you want to recognize who is in that picture? You have 5 friends, therefore they know each other. They know they are in the picture. So we were thinking, no, but this is super cool. You can actually do albums. You can group people together. You can share that with them. You can share with their family. You can do all these things. So that was the very beginning of the company.
And then obviously that was a great outcome. And then you founded another company which was more in the cybersecurity space, right?
Yeah. So here's the story of why. So in 2010, we were thinking, well, if we want to do this on a mobile device, we have to use very specific techniques to use this small processor, some CPUs on this phone. And then we realized, well, wait a minute, there is another CPU, another processing unit on a mobile device. It's called a GPU, and that's usually for gaming. And that's the beginning. That was the beginning of using GPUs on iPhone and Android devices. And we thought, well, GPU is a great device. It's a massively parallel processor. You have a lot of those, but they don't do much. But you have a lot of those, and you can run them in parallel to do some interesting mathematical or solving mathematical formula. So we were using these GPUs to train a device and train a machine how to recognize a human, and then how to recognize objects. And we were trying to do this very, very fast in real time, which is a very difficult problem to solve. And so I remember I was living in San Francisco, and I remember I went one day to a company. I met a gentleman called Mr. Jensen. And I told him, look, you have all these super cool 3D gaming GPUs. We actually use them not for gaming. We use them to train and do inference on machine learning on devices because they are great at massively parallel processing. Mr. Jensen was the CEO of NVIDIA, and we had these ideas. Well, he had the idea before us. He was thinking, well, we could use these machines, this processor to do machine learning. And we showed him, yeah, we're doing it actually. And it's really cool, and it's very, very fast. So that was the very early days of using OpenCL and CUDA programming languages on how to use GPU, general purpose GPU, for machine learning, training, and inference.
So when do you realize as an early stage founder that you've got something that's commercially viable, right? Because again, face recognition, great. You know, it's a great tool that we now know is a staple part, right? But at that point, when you're going through that discovery and you're thinking about an idea and what you want to create and what you want to, what is it? You building a product that you would, that you're interested in, that you've kind of, or is it a case that, do you know what, I see a commercial problem and I need to solve this commercial problem?
So I'll tell you the truth. We thought it was really cool.
Right. Okay.
To use your phone to do sharing videos and pictures, and organize those on your phone or your desktop. That was really the thing. Like, we thought it was really cool, and therefore, hopefully, other people think it's cool as well. That was the very early days. I mean, we had 2 customers. That's it. When we got acquired, the world was very, very small into doing this kind of high compute, almost data science project on how you recognize people in these video feeds. I think the definition of what we do, RS, is you have to be a little bit crazy.
Okay.
and see things and feel it's cool. And if it's cool for you, you hope it's cool for others.
Yeah.
And that's what happened for that one. I would say that one was not a commercial play, really. It was really, hey, we want to push the boundaries on how to use these machines to do something that is cool for us and for our friends. That was the very early days of this. The second company was a lot more commercial than the first one.
Which was Zenedge.
That was Zenedge, yes. So the idea, we became experts without really knowing on how to use machine learning and how to use these fuzzy techniques to do stuff that is very, very hard to do. If you think of recognizing a face, you have to look at all the pixels that made a face. When you move the face, it actually add more information to the camera, and you capture all this, and you compare this with a bank of database that are smart enough to make this comparison happening. You can apply this to many things. And as we know today, in particular, you can look for attacks on the website. And that's called a web application firewall. You can do DDoS protection because you are able to detect the early sign that there is an attack coming to you. So that's the reason why we did Zenedge. We also met our third founder and fourth founder of Zenedge. The third one was a great and is a great CTO, Leon Kuperman. The fourth one is NRS Gavrok. He's also a serial entrepreneur. We did Zenedge together with them. And then Leon became also the founder of my current startup. So that's how the group was formed.
Incredible. Well, obviously, that was, again, another very successful exit for you.
Yep.
Obviously, now to today's time with cast.ai, which, again, artificial intelligence.
Yeah.
But again, maybe you can tell us how this problem or this solution and this solution that you've been able to provide is solving a problem, and what problem you were going after.
So cast.ai came from a personal frustration that we were having at Zenedge. I'll tell you the story. 2015, we start Zenedge, group of friends. We're here in Miami, Miami and Los Angeles. The beginning, we have about 10 engineers. They're based in Europe. Great guys in Lithuania, in the Baltics. We spend about $1,000 a month on AWS. That's normal. $1,000, $2,000 a month. You have a couple of machines. You're doing some development. That's great. 3 years later, so by the time we got acquired, that became $1.2 million. And we still don't know why.
Right. Okay. Well,
That's the frustration. So every quarter, every month sometimes, we would sit down with Leon, with our CTO, Yuri, myself, and Leon, who will ask, what's that? Like, what's going on? It's increasing almost 10% every quarter or every month sometimes. And we don't know why. And we were really, really frustrated by this. So listen to this. Typically, the answer was, Leon was saying to us, well, to analyze this, first, when you spend that much, the bill is 100-page
right.
from AWS.
Right.
Very detailed. You know exactly why. Or you know where the money goes. You don't know why, but you know where it goes. So we felt, if you want to tackle this, Leon said to us, maybe I should hire 2 DevOps engineers. And they look at it. And he was saying, well, we need some people to analyze this. And guess what? We never hired them. Because every time we were thinking of hiring 2 engineers, we would always put them in the product. And so we never fixed it.
Right.
We never solved that problem. So 2 years after the acquisition with Oracle, we felt if we had this problem, we probably were not the only one. That's great. It feels interesting. And to solve this frustration is a great goal that we had. But there was a few things. One is, we didn't want this to be yet another reporting tool. So you have a lot of great reporting tools. You plug this into AWS, into Google, into Azure, and it will tell you where you spend money, it will tell you the cost of the project by day, by months, and you can go very deep into it. But that doesn't reduce the cost. That just shows you how bad it is.
Right.
Or how the damage is. We wanted to build something that would automatically take all this information and reduce, or at least optimize, your costs on AWS, Google, and Azure. And that is what we did. I mention this because this is the moment that made the product market fit. The idea was, in a few minutes, it takes 5 minutes, you download an agent into your applications. The agent is going to tell you, you spend that much. You should really spend that instead. Then you click a button that says, do that for me, and you just watch it. And it will take your cost from this 100 and reduce it to 75, 60, 65, sometimes 55, 50%.
So where are you seeing that waste of usage? What? Because it's clearly a waste. I'm assuming it's a waste problem.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Oh, yes.
But where is that waste going?
So I'll give you one statistics. It's a report that I published a month ago. So here is the statistics. You're going to be very surprised by this. We look at the utilization of machines on the 3 cloud providers. The true utilization. If you use a machine that have 8 core, like your laptop have 4 cores.
Yep.
If you use a server that have 8 cores, how much of those do you really use? Mm-hmm. And the number is 13%. So think about this. On average, out of $100 you spend, or 100 cores you have on your cloud account, you only use 13. It's not like you use the others a little bit. You absolutely do not use the others, but you are paying for them, but you do not use them. The over-provisioning is a factor of 8x.
Wow.
That's where the cost optimization comes from. Now, sometimes it's good to have over-provisioning. Right? You want your application to be able to act quickly. If you have a certain increase of use, then you want this compute to be available. Of course, we all are thinking this way. But the point would be, wouldn't it be nice that you have an AI engine that goes in, that lives inside your application and says, well, I will only add what I need, and only when I need it, not before and not after.
Right.
As long as you supply enough of those when you need them, then you don't need any over provisioning anymore. You have an automation that automate that function of DevOps, which is very mundane, that says whatever I need, I will have, nothing less, nothing more, and I do this in real time. And that is what cast.ai does. It's super cool when you see it happening. And sometimes it's very visual. You see this in real time. You see, oh, I had 20 machines on my account to run these particular applications. And after a few minutes, I only have 2.
Wow.
Because I didn't need the other 12. So 18 in that case. So that's a real-time engine that does this.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose I'm trying to visualize it in maybe in a I don't know, in a parallel way of kind. You know, I don't know if I'm drawing to an engine which has got 12 cylinders, and when you're driving through first gear, you may not necessarily be using all 12 of those cylinders, and that why use all the 12? 'Cause each time you're using all of those cylinders, obviously you're burning more fuel. And is there a parallel in an easy kind of another way of describing it that you see?
Yeah, that's exactly the same idea. So
Right.
You have a car with 4 cylinders. You stop at the traffic light.
Yeah.
You don't need them anymore. You shut down the engine. Some cars do that.
Yeah.
Electric cars are even better at this. It's the same idea.
Right.
You mirror the utilization of these compute powers to what you need at the moment you need, and you do very, very fast right sizing. So you eliminate them as soon as you feel that you don't need them.
Yeah.
And you add them back as soon as you think you need, or as soon as the AI engine, feel that it needs more compute power to run your app. Now I'll tell you why this is interesting and important. So imagine you're a bank, and we don't have banks as a client.
Yeah.
Imagine you're a bank, a retail bank. So what happened for a retail bank? Well, your clients are sleeping at night.
Yeah.
So at night, nobody is going to consult or do a credit application. It's exactly that. So it detects that, at night there is not much activity, so you can kind of have the minimum to run this app. Then your clients are waking up, you add more CPUs, so more compute power as they come.
Yeah.
And as soon as they go back to sleep at the end of the day, you do the opposite.
Gotcha.
And that's really it. So the key here was, let's follow the utilization curve so that we can mirror this to what your elastic compute is going to look like.
Amazing.
I was about to ask how the artificial intelligence piece fits into this, and what the predictions are. And
Yeah. So I'm going to give you a few examples. You see how complex that is. So imagine this, again, you're in the morning and you have all these users coming to your app, so you need to add compute. But which one do you add? So on AWS, it's the same on the others. There are about 500 to 600 different type of machines. Which one do you take? So I ask these two developers and DevOps engineers very frequently, say, why did you select this machine called M6i? It's a typical machine on Amazon. And I kid you not, they say, well, because it's always M6i. What do you mean?
because
It's always.
always
Always
okay.
M6i. What do you mean? It really is that. That is the answer. And then it's not because they don't know there are others, is that it's very hard for humans to make a real-time selection when you have that many.
Right.
And I think of this as these DevOps engineers and engineers. It's almost like you're a kid and you go to a toy store and you have all these things in front of you. Which one you take for Christmas?
Yeah.
It is the same thing. So it's not that the cloud provider are evil. They are not. They do the right thing. They give you the choice. They give you all the toolbox, and it's incredible and rich and efficient. The question is, as human, which one do you take?
Incredible.
So you see, this is a question the engine will solve. I need that amount of compute. I'm going to select the most efficient one within the entirety of the availability of my cloud provider in the region I operate to serve the compute need that I have right now. And think of this as you do this 100 times per second. And now you have something smart.
Amazing. So obviously, you've built this technology on the problem that you face personally, right? So this is something that you've experienced firsthand. The hypothesis was, if we've experienced it, I'm sure others have experienced it. What was the response when you started to share this with potential customers?
Oh, that's the most difficult one. As a founder, this is, we call it product market fit, right? So is your product going to meet the market? The only thing I can say really is when you hit the product market fit, you see it. It's obvious. But before that, it's not obvious at all. So I don't say we got lucky. It's always the same. We found a client in California that was willing with us to take the bet that you can automate most of these questions and you can automate this in real time. So we got a client who was on AWS, was a huge user of AWS, at least from what we felt. They use more than 20,000 CPUs. I mean, these are thousands of machines. And they connected an application to us. It's called a cluster. And we felt, yeah, we can do things here. So we built a product with them. We built the MVP. Well, we had an MVP, but we built it using the feedback from the customer. And then for 3 months, we were a one client company. That's difficult, right? When you see this. And then, so that was in September. And then
which September?
September of 2021.
21.
And then in January, we got another one. That one was a cybersecurity company. We met them. I think we met them at reInvent, which was in December. The product was barely done right by then. It was used by this one client. And we got another one. And this one, cybersecurity company, came to us and say, yeah, we've been trying to do this cost optimization for 6 months. We have a team of 6 people. We didn't succeed. Can you help us? And so then we had 2 clients. Big customer, right? Thousands of CPUs. Say, wow, that's something. Then for a while, our investors were saying, well, you are a 2-client company. You have to now start doing this properly. And then we got the third one. It was really like this, right? We got the third one and a third customer in 1 quarter. That was incredible to us. And then it really worked this way. And we built the product as we were getting customers. So we got an inquiry. This is a really cool company in India. They're doing a video sharing, a message sharing company. It's called ShareChat. So it's public. They came to us and they connected one cluster, so one application on Google. So on Google, we had we had a kind of spreadsheet. It was nicer than that, but it was really showing, hey, you spend that much, you could spend less if you want, click here. But click here to contact us, right? That was the case at the time. So they connected a cluster, and the cluster was huge. It was 10,000 CPUs. We were like, well, that's the biggest application we have ever seen. That must be one of the biggest in the planet. And so, but they were on Google Cloud, and we didn't have yet the product on Google Cloud. Then we met another one like this, the same, called OpenX, also thousands of CPUs. So we built a product for them, and that became our product for Google Cloud. But it really was doing this way. We did the AWS first, then we had another two customers come on a prospect come the same month saying, we have the same problem on Google, can you help us? We built it for Google for them, and so on and so on. And then we had an inquiry on Azure, and we felt, yeah, that will work the same on Azure, and that became our product for Azure. So it was built this way. It was built based on the feedback of the prospect that was coming to us, that was having the exact same problem we were having when we were at Zenedge, with great case study and use cases on different cloud providers.
Can you share any of the detail on any of those use cases and the results of those use cases?
Yeah. So the first one on Google Cloud, the second one, they came at the same time. This company in India, great guys, extremely, very professional, probably one of the best DevOps team we have met. So we fixed the problem on this 10,000 CPUs. We showed to them there is a clear before and after. You can really tell. It's very visual too. You can see there's a curve of utilization. There's a curve of provisioning, and as long as they're very far away from each other, you have a lot of over provisioning, getting
you
see that the
lines getting
oh,
closer
it
and closer together.
collapses and
Okay.
it follows now each other in real time. And that was super cool. And then they came to me and said, you realize that this is the 10,000 CPUs. We have 100 of those.
Wow.
Yes,
Wow.
yes, a little bit less than that at the end. But they had a huge amount of, they probably have 500,000 CPUs.
And so what
at
sort
some
of
point.
cost savings are you talking about in something stuff that colossal?
It's massive. I mean,
We're talking hundreds of thousands? Are we talking?
yeah, I mean, easily, yes.
Really?
40%, 50%. It's very substantial. Yeah.
Wow.
And again, there is this amount of cost savings, not because they were not doing the job. In fact, they were doing probably one of the best job that we had seen at the time in a DevOps team. OpenX was exactly the same. They're very, very, very professional at what they do. It's just the realization that as a human, you just can't do it. There's an area of where automation is great. It's in the DevOps community.
Yeah. So I think this is kind of like one of those moments where you've kind of not necessarily struck gold, but you have in a sense, right? You're dusting, if you're an archaeologist and you're dusting through and you found a tooth, and this tooth starts to be 3 teeth.
Yeah.
And then before you know it, you've got a skull.
Yeah.
And then before you know it, you've got the whole body of a very rare,
A
T-Rex or what have you. Is that the feeling? And by the sounds of how you talk about this in a passion perspective, is that what you're feeling? Each time you're solving these problems, you're realizing the capacity of the problem that you're solving.
Oh yeah. But you have to realize when Yuri and we were doing the budget, even the one of last year, we were trying to find, okay, how much revenue you think we can get in 2023? And I told Yuri, it's good feeling, right? We don't know, so we just put a number and see what do you think.
Yeah.
And I told him, you're crazy. It will never happen. And we did more than that.
Wow.
Like this is how much this thing took off that fast. I mean, think about this. I can't share too much numbers because then I'm in trouble with my other founders. But I'll give you one stats. The number of the revenue we got in Q1 is more than 6 times the one of last year.
Wow.
That's
in
how.
Q1.
Yeah.
In Q1. So you've closed,
That's the
in
last
your first quarter, you've closed 6 times more than the entire revenue last year.
No, the last quarter at the same time.
The last, okay.
Yeah, the Q1 of last year. Yeah, I wish that one.
All right, okay.
That's happening next quarter.
Yeah, next quarter.
But this is how fast it is. And when you have this kind of scale, this is where you need, I call this, you need to bring the adults.
Yeah.
Meaning you need to bring the full C-suite.
Yeah.
Because you can see it is scaling. Mm-hmm. It is scaling very, very fast. We are solving a problem that is extremely hard to solve, but popular.
Yeah.
And with a very high demand. And this is where we hired our chief revenue officer.
But it's amazing how you're obviously going through this journey, and you're as you said, you're dusting away and you're kind of peeling back. Tell us now a little bit about sales, right? So at the beginning, you're kind of figuring stuff out. I know you've got quite a lot of experience yourself personally, but you've realized that you've got something that could potentially become really significant, potentially tracking wise. You could be 100 million revenue, one of the fastest ever, potentially. That's without revealing too much. I know that's maybe
giving away too
much, but that is the potential in terms of the trajectory. Help us understand the kind of the before and after. Obviously, Arturo has had a significant impact. Help us understand a little bit about how you've had to evolve as a founder and as a founding team, and some of the impact of that sales rigor.
But I think just before you answer that question, so just hold fire with that one, Simon. I think it's important to frame Arturo and his background. So Arturo, ex-App Dynamics, he's come from the playbook community that we know and we love and share, and that all of our podcast has been brought up again. Has kind of orbited around. And so, by design or by chance, have you come across, somebody, did you go out and seek, or did you know about that lineage?
Oh, we go out and seek.
Right.
So you can be sure when this product market fit happens, you get 10 clients, 20 clients, a few hundred clients. You need methodology. You need to do it carefully. There's a few things that are very important. One is it's great to sign a deal, but then you have to onboard that customer, and then you have to keep that client too. And keep is just not means keep billing them, but make them see the value and make them want to do more and more with the product. We had incredible growth with customers that start with us, and then immediately as soon as they see the value, they put everything they can into this cloud native space. We call that Kubernetes, cloud native space. So you have really to see this as a process that has methodologies. And here, you just said there is a playbook. You need someone who understands this, who have done it before, who have experienced the good and the bad of using a playbook and a methodology to do this. And this is why we look for chief revenue officer. We realized this very quickly. By November of last year, we felt, look, if we want to follow this explosion in 2024, we do need to find someone who has done it before and who understands how to bring this to the next level. So it's one thing to sell with 4 or 5 sellers. It's another to do this with 20 and 30 and 40 and a few hundreds, which is what Arturo is building. And so you have to do this with methods and carefully. And that's the realization. We need to have a proper team.
I don't know if that does that
Yeah, absolutely,
answer
yeah.
your question. I think
Yeah.
Focusing on that and understanding that. So it was a deliberate decision to say, do you know what? Let's go and hire a CRO before we go and build out reps. What was the take us through the decision process of doing that rather than going out and proving it as with 4 or 5 reps, for example.
So that's a very, very important question. First, we knew the recipe. And I think this is very important. I think for all the founders that I know or may listen, it's very, very important that you experience the process yourself before you scale and hire a team to do it. So it was founder-led sales, and thanks God it was, because we really learned the product market fit this way. We were in the trenches, Yuri, Leon, I, and selling ourselves to see what is the client, what are these organizations, what do they need, how do they use the product, where are they happy with using it. Once you know this, only after that you can think of scaling, but not before.
It's quite easy to believe that because you've got a great product market fit is automatic.
Yeah.
Is that the case?
No.
So how do you marry the two? So what are you doing when you're in that moment? I know it's just you're kind of touching on it there. Just take us to that. What are you analyzing? What are you thinking in that moment? Because a lot of founders struggle with this part.
Yeah.
So I think that's why it's really important to double down.
Well, we made a lot of mistakes.
Okay.
But that's great. It's great to make these mistakes because this is what makes the product meet the market. Our first idea, I'm going to tell you what it is. We felt, you have 3 cloud providers. It's great. It would be great to do a pricing arbitrage between the 3. We thought that by moving an application across cloud, we would benefit from a particular cloud provider in one region that is cheaper than another in the same region. That was a great idea. It didn't work at all.
Right.
You see, if you have a complete sales team while you are still searching for this, it is something that is a lot harder. You want this direct feedback as close as possible to the customer to give you this feel. So say, that doesn't work very well. But then a client said, well, that was the first client says, I have this problem on AWS itself. There's no need to look for the others. Even AWS itself have 600 different machines. Even doing pricing arbitrage on one cloud provider was great. And that's how we met the product market fit. But once you do a few of those, and only after that, in my mind, this is only after you are sure, you have seen it, you have experienced it, the good and the bad, then you can think of looking for help, which is where Arturo came. But we made all the mistakes, don't get me wrong. And it's probably a good thing, but believe me, when we made the mistake, that wasn't great. Like we see the failure, right? And then from the failure, we hope there is the thing that will make you feel, oh yeah, I didn't think about this one. Let's try that to see if that works. So that is very important. The trial and error is maybe a bad word, but let's say the experiencing this yourself before you scale it. It's so important because it will help. It will help you discover that the product has a market fit.
I know it's difficult for you to talk on behalf of lots of founders, but do you believe that maybe too many founders chase revenue rather than a formula to sell?
Yes, of course. And we did the same. Of course. We did the same mistakes too. And they hired too early. That we also did the mistake too.
Right.
Of hiring too early. Yeah. I
want to take you back to the day you've made this decision to go out and hire a CRO. When you're sitting down and going through the process of, okay, who is going to be the right CRO? So before you've even sat down with Arturo, I want to kind of like go through that journey of realization through to selection and knowing, first of all, the plan of who we're going to go after, and then all the way through to the establishing who's right. Can you take us through that journey from cradle to grave of hiring?
That's also a difficult journey, believe me. There's a few things we were looking for. One is we wanted someone that fit very nicely with our culture of this trial and error, this, being dynamic, being inside the deal. That for me was very important. Being inside the deal means going in and understand and speak to the prospect, doing the POC together, understanding how is the closing process, what is the value of the product, so you can explain all of these things. We wanted someone who would be able to go with us into that journey. The same journey we were having, we wanted someone to do that. So it's not a CRO that manage, it's also a CRO that do. And for me, and for my other co-founder, that was very important. So that's number one. Second one is we're selling this as a SaaS business. So it's a subscription, and having someone who have that experience is great as well. Mm-hmm. And Arturo was at Harness. Dynamically have seen this inside out. This is very important because the selling motion is different when you think SaaS, with the good and the bad things of SaaS.
Absolutely.
They're mostly good ones. The third one is we kind of understood the selling motion. There is a discovery call, there's a POC, and we kind of did it without really knowing, right? Oh, at some point the client wants to try. Great, it's called a POC. Mm-hmm. Fantastic. Let's do a lot of those. and see, what we were looking for is someone who have this experience of knowing how to take that motion, but making it at scale with a proper methodology, self-enablement, the same passion that we have, but with the experience of someone who has done it before. And the fourth one is we wanted someone that was ambitious. We are building a great business. We wanted someone who had the same passion to build it with us. When I interview someone, there's the technicalities. It's always important, of course. But the first question I ask myself is, would I want to work with that person? And if the answer is no, regardless of the rest, I would never hire that person. And for Arturo, you know it in 2 minutes. You want to work with him.
Yeah.
And that was the last criteria I had.
Yeah. I want to go back a step. I don't want to necessarily jump around, but you've just kind of like brought up a point that I think I'd like to find out a little bit more about. And I think we've had it in experience with working other early stage founders, and especially founders that have created a product that, is game changing. How do you ensure that before Arturo's, come into the organization, that you're prioritizing your time with the right customers? Because it's quite easy when you've got a solution which can solve such a big problem. How do you know when you're spending the right time with the right customers, and how selective are you with those customers that you're working with?
Yeah, it's also a great question. It's who is your ICP?
Exactly,
right?
yeah.
The ideal customer profile. And so I'll tell you who we thought would be the ICP. So, and then who it is now. We thought a lot of startups that are using cloud native Kubernetes containers, all these cool techniques on the cloud, we thought those will be by far the customers that would come to us. So typically company in Silicon Valley, they have 50 people, they spend crazy amount on the cloud, we can help them, it's great. What we realized last year is that a lot of organizations that were coming to us were Fortune 500, were enterprise, massive enterprise. I'm talking of one of the largest bank in Europe or one of the largest car manufacturer in the planet. These companies have exactly the same problem as the great startup that have 50 people in Silicon Valley. And here is why. They all use the same amount of compute, enterprise more, so you multiply that by a factor. But the cost of a VM, whether it's in Frankfurt, in California, or in Mumbai, is the same. It's the same $40.
Right.
Reducing this by half have exactly the same impact, whether you are a Fortune 500 or you are a startup or a cloud native company in India. And so that realization made us want to accelerate the process, the selling motion for us. So the people ask me very often now, what is your ICP? And my answer is the following. Do you use the cloud? Usually the answer is yes. Do you use cloud native techniques? Usually the answer is yes. I say, great. Come here, I'll show you how you can reduce your cost by half. It will take you 5 minutes. You want to see it. That's the pitch. And that pitch works for a car manufacturer, for a cybersecurity company, for an e-commerce website, for a video sharing app, or for an airline. The same way. So the ICP is very wide.
Yeah.
In that sense.
So your cost justification is theoretically pretty instant. When do you go into it? Did you go demo straight from first? I suppose you obviously want after you've done discovery. Do you go straight into product demo, or do you actually do a product demo in discovery?
Yeah, but I don't. So we do usually you do it the first call.
Yeah.
So here's what it takes 5 minutes.
Right.
So it really does. So meaning you have someone on Google Meet or Zoom, and you show a few things. Hey, this is how it works. What do you know? Let me show it to you in real time. Let's do it together. You can do this demo. It's very fast, very impactful. I don't call them demo. I call them teasers. So the point is, imagine this, but on your own app. That's the POC. That's when the POC starts. Of course, someone will say, oh, yes, I want to try it. Now that you have showed me how great that is and how fast that is, let's try it on your own app, dear customer.
Yeah.
And the answer is always yes. Because as a teaser, you show how great that is, you show how easy and simple that is, then immediately, as soon as you finish speaking, usually the answer is, yes, I'd like to try on my own. And that's where the POC works. So it's a very fast process. It's not always like this, right? But the motion is similar to that.
So obviously the land, that would be the land, but obviously what you're really working on now is not just, I imagine a lot of these organizations have got lots of different teams scattered across, global. So then that's really where the art of the enterprise selling really comes into its own, and how you're able to navigate that and really scale that on a global basis, right? Is that the case?
Yeah, this is really a land and expand. So these teams, these DevOps teams, usually are in charge of managing your cloud. They're called DevOps or SREs, which is a similar name. Teams of 5 to 15 great engineers. You go there, you show it to them. As soon as it's done and they enjoy it, the first thing they do, they tell all their friends. Of course they do, because it's so great. And you see, the reason why they take it is because we reduce their cost. The reason why they keep it is because we automate everything. Like imagine this, your work that you were doing, it was hard to do by hand until now, is now fully automated. So therefore, finally, you can do the higher level work that you always wanted to do, but you could never do. So you find these teams, and they exist everywhere, these DevOps teams or SRE teams. You convince them, and then they try and they play with the product themselves. It takes a few weeks. At the end of the few weeks, you show to them, look, you were here, now you're here. It's great. You save that much. You see, it's not based on hope. It's not productivity. It's real. So you're here, now you're here. It costs you that.
I want to focus a little bit on the mindset of the founding team here, because I think, again, it's really easy for someone to watch this, or whether it's founders or, and it's, you found a great product and that's it. But the reality is that you're constantly looking for the answers, right? That's the mindset. Tell us a little bit about that. Tell us a little bit about what you focus on founders, and making sure that you're constantly discovering to solve those problems.
Yeah. So one thing in my mind is very important is you have to go and meet your users. That's what I do all the time. I was at Google Cloud Next. Then I'm going to all the KubeCon. There's a new one in India in December. You guys should go. It's the first time it goes into India. The most important as a founder is to talk to your users and see what it is that they do. So we have a security component to our product. It makes a lot of sense. We have a lot of data on what this application need. In particular, we can detect when there is a security issue there. So we have it's on the product. It's a free security piece of it. I was in Paris for KubeCon, and I met a client, and they started to tell me how great that security module is, because they don't need to buy a security product from another provider. This information for me is gold. This is yes, of course, because say, oh, you really, like, for us it was a small thing. We of course we are passionate by security because that was our last company. So of course we added the model for security, and they started to use it, and they told me why and how useful it was for them. This, as a founder, is so important. You have to keep this contact with your users, and you have to be challenged by them and ask what they think, and you have to be very open-minded in what they say, what they don't say, and how you ask the questions. For me, that's the most important. And there's also another moment is, remember, we had one client, then two, then three. Now we have a few hundreds. It's probably the most important moment in my life at cast.ai, to see how they were using what we spent so long to create. That is magic. People ask me many times, why do you start a company? You start for that moment. The commercial success is a consequence of this. It cannot be a goal. Of course, you have shareholders. The company has to grow. I get this. But for me, it's a consequence of what happened before. It's to see these guys, these men and women, engineers, talented people, telling you how happy they are, or not, into using what you created. Right? That's the magic.
What do you see as the greatest impact that Arturo has brought to the organization from a sales perspective?
He's going to tell you. There is a before and after.
Okay.
When you hire an executive and you can tell this, there's a before Arturo and there's an after Arturo. The team grew from 4 or 5 sellers to more than 20.
Right.
Is incredible. I have never seen this before that way. So we were at Google Cloud Next conference in Las Vegas. They were all on the booth with this blue T-shirt with cast on it, and they had all an iPad, and they were doing demos on the iPad and booking meetings. It's incredible when you see it. It's real. Like there is really an after Arturo, and I can tell how great that is to have him with us.
Well, and what about some of the specifics on that? Help us understand a little bit more. So obviously that's prospecting, that's lead generation, the picking up good leads, which, that's adopted through many different. But what would you say were some of the big impactful stuff that you've seen?
So there are many, but there are some that are very important. Hiring salespeople, account executives. Account executives, they are professional sellers. They sell themselves very well too.
Yeah.
It's
true.
very hard.
Absolutely.
It's so hard to know, what would they do when they are selling cast.ai, right? It's very hard to imagine this.
Yeah.
Arturo is a great person who knows how to recruit. His first move was to recruit a VP of RevOps. Before Arturo started, mid-December, he hired a VP of RevOps. That was his first move. Before he himself started in the company, he started early January. We already had a VP of RevOps analyzing all the data. Why? Because when you do a sales motion, and we had a lot of information on Salesforce, disorganized information, then he started to find, your sales cycle is really 1 month. It's a bit more, 2 months. I had no idea with this. You see, this is the before and after Arturo. The process. How long does it take to do a POC? Well, it takes 3 weeks. We know now that it takes 3 weeks because all this information was organized and made sense from the first hire that Arturo made. Now, based on this information, he knew exactly how many reps we need, where we need them, and when we need them, and what is the formula to hire them. What's the quota? These are very difficult questions. What's the quota? You want the quota to be ambitious but realist, because if they realize their quota, then they make a lot more money.
Yeah.
So all of this professionalism is what Arturo put in place. But he put it in place in 2 weeks.
Right.
But these things, and then the machine started. So first we hired two guys the first week, and then every week there would be 2 new AEs that we would interview nonstop. He did all this while selling Q1.
Wow.
That was Arturo.
Did you have an expectation? So were you quite surprised by that? How different was that to what perhaps you thought sales was prior to you discovering this way?
Yeah, sales was more an experiment before that. Okay. That's how it was founder-led, right? So we understood it. Well, we knew how it worked. We had a great 2023, fantastic 2023. It was, but without real process. The team, the seller that made 2023, we recruit them early 2023. We without thinking, how do we add more? Do we have the capacity to add more? You want a chief revenue officer at that moment that take this beginning of a sales team, multiply it, but multiply with methods. Otherwise, it starts to go in every direction. How many? I ask you a question. How many sales engineers do you need for your account executive? I don't know. But this is the typical thing that Arturo understood from his experience. When do you need them? I don't know. How long it takes to ramp an account executive? I don't know. You see, this is what CRO will bring to us.
What about the predictability? Are you finding an impact on being able to actually predict your revenue forecasting, for example?
The main generation of pipeline for us was the conference. We learned that the first one was reInvent. We found the first client there. And then we did this in 2023 very, very nicely. We had a fantastic team that were starting to do this. So we created the pipeline based on this. The problem with this is it's not predictable. Your pipeline is owned by the schedule of the conferences. It really is like this. Yeah. So the pipeline was great because we had Google Cloud Next in August and reInvent in December. It's great. What Arturo is putting is a motion on outbounding. So that means take ownership of pipeline generation that does not depend on a conference. So all of this is what the predictability is. We'll see how it goes, right? We're at the very beginning of it.
Yeah.
But I can tell you, all the sellers are there and outbound as much as they can outside of these events.
100%.
I think obviously, the school that Arturo is part of, they are prolific at being able to kind of call the number and be very, very accurate with what's going to land. And obviously it's very early on that journey, but have you started to kind of see that with your early experience of, he can really very almost accurately, things don't start to slip. They can really kind of get amongst that. How does that help you as a founder?
Yeah, we had a commit in Q1. It's great. Yes. Yeah. We knew this. We knew a month before the end of the quarter exactly what the number would be. And we knew the 5 or 6 deals that cannot be missed to get to that number. And also, it's very interesting. He made sure that we don't close everything the last day of the quarter. Why? So this I never understood. Why is it always the last day? This to the predictability. Yeah, we started Q2 with a great number of customers, new customers.
What about the ability? So again, this elite community, what they're very, very strong at is when it comes to big, large, complex deals where there's multiple stakeholders. Ability to be able to not just identify one problem, but understand the organization problem and the organizational impact. Have you felt that as a founder that the deals that you see may have been smaller and they're now a lot greater? Or
it's a very we had this discussion a few days ago. So now we do sales enablement. So we do training for account executive, and one of them is trying to find who are the influencers and where are they mapped inside the organization?
Power charts, power charts.
Yes, thank you. Yeah. So I didn't know what it was, and that's something Arturo put in place. We have a great guy in New York that is helping Arturo with that. His name is Josh, fantastic regional vice president.
We know him. He's very, very good.
He's mapping all this structure. So now when AE come, we know pretty much what's the management, what are the other teams, where are they located, who do they report to, and usually they answer these questions. So I just never thought about asking them.
Yeah.
So that predictability, in a way, it's a lot more scientific now, and it follows that playbook that frankly I didn't know before.
Do you see sales now more as a in this way, more of a, there's obviously art to it, right? The art of selling, but at the same time, you also have the science of selling. And this, for somebody that comes from a very analytical, mathematical, scientific, motion processing.
It's a process. But what I like with it is there is still a human side of it. We're still selling to humans.
Yeah.
And so you still have this negotiation. It's very interesting to see the way to present the product, the way to do the teaser, the demo, the way to make the client want to try it on their own. All of this is still there. And so the human side and the excitement and the passion is there, but you know where it fits in the scheme of the process, of the selling motion. And frankly, something I didn't know myself, right? That's what, when I told you there is a before and after, you're going to see when he speaks.
Yeah.
It's amazing the after, what he put in place to follow that process.
We're massively passionate about this, from our day-to-day recruitment perspective. Our ICP is either helping organizations like you, right? Early stage, because we can understand, we've seen the power that this playbook can have. And I think, when you hear it, and you go through this, your experience of actually having been on the receiving end and feeling that impact and feeling the passion and just seeing how excited it makes you rather than being scared.
Yeah.
It's just really nice to hear.
It's really cool to see it.
Yeah.
Believe me, I've been 3 months into that with him. It's really cool to see it. There's only one part of the process that has changed. The seller always asks, that's from what I heard, do you have a budget? Right? That's the budget, all these questions. In our case, we never ask the question. they have budget. You know why? Because the budget is minus 5 million.
Yeah.
Yes, we
Exactly.
Yes.
Return
You'll
of
find the
investment.
budget.
it's so
Yeah,
cool.
you find the budget for
Yes.
that.
We'll give you the
Absolutely.
budget back to you.
Yeah, I'm really interested in the future and where you see Cast AI going now, and what the plans are, and maybe you can share a little bit on that.
Oh, the future. So, last year Yuri told me, I think 2023 will be at that number. I say, you're crazy. We did the same this year. Say, you're crazy. We got more than that already in Q1. So, that's, we'll see where that goes. But I'm super, super excited by this. We are really in this hockey stick moment where we are adding huge amount of large enterprises into the product. So that's one thing that is great. The most important, though, is to keep innovation. This is why I say, the moment where you speak to the client, how do you use it? What do you use? What you like? This magic moment is where the innovation starts. Because that's, from the question and answer that you have. That innovation thing is probably the most important we have in the next 24 months. Can't tell you much more now, but I can tell you one thing, is the total addressable market we have is probably going to double from the product we have in store. That is will come in September, October. This is, you see, the reason is we have a lot of visibility from what those applications need to run. Whether they need compute, that's called a VM. They need network. They need data. How do you manage these things? We only started by the compute side. All the rest, we're hiding behind it. Like nobody saw it because compute is such an issue that is hard to solve that you are missing all the others that are hiding behind. We see all of this. Security is one of them. We see, which is available in the product. So you see all these things that we're hiding behind, and this is where the innovation come and where the magic happens. And I would not be surprised that we will release a number of really, really cool products that will all go into the idea of we want to automate the DevOps function. And the byproduct of automation is we make you so efficient.
Yeah.
And efficiency means cost optimization. That's what is cool.
Well, we heard it from Carlos, who is obviously the CRO of Harness, and Jyoti Bansal. 30 million developers in this world, over a $3 trillion market. It's it's a big market and a big problem to go after. So how did the cloud service providers respond to this, and the cloud providers respond to this? Sorry.
So you see, what we do is we made these teams very, very efficient. Right? Cost optimization is a byproduct of automation. We automate the difficult function of managing infrastructure. They love it. Yes, the cost will go down because it's more efficient. But what do we do as human when it becomes more efficient?
Buy more.
Of course we do buy more. That's the Model T, the Ford car in the last century. Cars existed before that one, but they made it such an inexpensive commodity that suddenly everybody wanted to buy cars. It's exactly the same. It's even more because of AI. So because the cost of running and doing inference with AI is so high that imagine this, they have 5 projects, they can only do 2. Well, with me, they can do 5.
Right.
Because they cost a lot less than what they felt it would cost otherwise. So freeing up the budget is probably the most important benefit for the cloud provider, because believe me, as soon as they see this, our users, they do a lot more than they could otherwise.
So the overall spend could be greater because they are able to justify with more efficiency, more projects.
Exactly, but you see, the point is the creation of value is a lot more now, because you know why you spend $1 buying this machine or renting this machine. You know exactly it's the right amount. You see, when you say this as a human, you feel, so you're telling me what I spend is what I need to spend to get the result? The answer is yes. And let me show it to you. It's very visual. That confidence is what make make these teams use more, but they use more for the right reason. That it works, it's efficient, and it's peace of mind. They know it will work in real time, all the time, at the most efficient way possible using this automation. Yeah.
So it is truly incredible. I want to just ask you your general thoughts on you're someone with a lot of experience within machine learning, within AI. You're obviously very early in that. I'd be very curious to hear what your overall perception of the market is, who the winners are, who the losers. How do you see
AI
them? Yeah, the AI market space.
So I think this is the hype now, right? Oh my God, AI is everywhere. That must be good because it's everywhere. I think what is hiding behind this is the use of AI. So right now you see a lot of investment in the past, $1 billion investment in creating the models, right? OpenAI, Anthropic, Mistral is another great one in Europe. For me, the value is not that one, is what do you do with them is the value. And I think this is the wave hiding behind the wave, right? What is hiding now is these enterprises and organization realize, oh my God, this can help us a lot in what we do. As soon as you're going to see this result very quickly. And that's when the value of AI will come. So it's almost the beginning of the wave, but the wave is not the open AI wave. In my mind, it's what people are going to do with it.
Yeah.
That is the true benefit or the true value of AI. And we see some of it now. We have a lot of our users. In the beginning, we saw a lot of training. Now we see a lot of inference. Inference means a lot of use of AI. Incorporate AI into your own product.
Who do you think the big winners are going to be?
The big winners. The usual suspects. So the cloud providers for sure, because you need a lot of compute for those. But who supply the cloud providers? Also for sure. So NVIDIA, obviously, but there's a number of other companies that are trying to do something similar. Grok, the one from Elon Musk, is a great one as well. I would look at the hardware supplier, the chip that can do as good as a GPU, but are costing a lot less to do it. This is short term in my mind because it's almost like a race. People are trying to deploy this as soon as possible. It's hard to find. So can we find alternative? Yes. And suddenly you have fundings to those companies. They will come to market. The big wave for me is after that one. Is the new SaaS product, new chat. If you go to, I don't want to say names, but an airline, great airline in Miami, and you ask a question, then the answer is a lot better than it used to be because it's a Gen AI behind it, apparently, right? So this is where the value is, and I think you'll see a lot of those. So the winners in my mind will be organizations that use that and incorporate this into their product. The short-term one, for sure, cloud providers, the hardware manufacturers, the chip, the NVIDIA of the world, and the one behind NVIDIAs that are trying to do this more efficiently. The real value is into using them.
Great.
And we just see the beginning of this.
Wow.
I'm super excited.
Yeah, very exciting. It is definitely exciting. And we are seeing so much investment, growth, so just lots of disruption. It's a very exciting time to be in tech for sure.
We know a lot of this because last week at Cloud Next, we released a new product. We call it AI Optimizer. It's a version of our engine that is designed to reduce cost of inference. So it's designed to make sure that the cost of using is extremely, extremely efficient. So we have a lot of the organization using this now.
Excellent. I think this is a really good time to just reflect on what we've spoken today. It has really been a really great episode, and time has flown. We did say it was going to go quick.
There you go. I told you. I said you're going to look at that clock. It's going to be 45. We're now looking at an hour and 15. So.
But just kind of reflecting on what we've taken today, in what has been a really amazing session. It's amazing to see how, as a team, as a core founding team, you've had early experience, but you haven't just rested on what you know. You're always in that discovery mode. And the organization you're building now is obviously very different to the ones that you have built where you have had the exits, but it's that constant customer first, really understanding what's going on in your customers, really getting out there, really discovering, really understanding the business value, really understanding what's going to stop me, how do I need to navigate, where do we need to pivot, and seeing that evolution and creating product market fit. But then what's interesting is even with product market fit, there's a little bit of chaos, and bringing the right sales motion on top of that, how you're able to really bring those two and blend those together to create something which has the potential to be something really to kind of look out for. And we're really excited to see how you guys get on over the next few years, and we wish you the very best of luck. So thank you so much for joining us today. It's been a really, really great session.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's been an absolute pleasure, and I second exactly what Simon's saying. I think the interesting bit that sort of I've taken from this is just how maniacally focused you were at that very beginning part in ensuring you were creating a product that your customers really wanted, right, and that was solving a problem, and how involved you were in that early sales adoption to really understand. I think we see it far too often, and you alluded to it as well, which is bringing in sales reps too early. You lose touch, you're not then engaging with your customer, you don't know if your product is moving in the right direction. I think you're a perfect testimonial for the importance of that founder-led sales implementation approach. So yeah, it's been really fascinating to see, and just as a very humble individual, I think you're just a phenomenal guy, and I've really enjoyed spending your time and really learning and hearing about your journey. So thank you very much.
Thank you. And I have to say, these journeys are always built on people.
Yeah.
We sell to humans, and humans have feelings, and listening to the feelings is where the magic happen. It's very emotional too sometimes for me, but also for everybody in the company. You cannot do this unless you have a group of individuals that have the same ambition to succeed together. And probably the biggest word is together. In the beginning, before Telecom, we were wondering, but what about we are giving a piece of us to someone else. It's weird, right? As a founder to think this, but it's great to do it this way. And we are much better as a group as we are individually. And it's the same for our development team. It's the same for Leon Kupperman, our CTO, co-founder CTO. And the development team, we have a group. They're all in Vilnius, in Lithuania. The other company was the same. I go to my office every 2 or 3 months. My office is a 10-hour flight from here. I love to be in my office.
Amazing.
With these guys, because you can feel it. It's being created over there. So the human side is so important.
Yeah, so often lost as well. But again, thank you so much for sharing. So to all our listeners, thank you so much for tuning in to another session. Please do subscribe to our various channels on iTunes, Spotify, and YouTube. Nearly forgot that one. All the links are in the description below. But we look forward to welcoming you back for another session soon. Thank you very much.